I want to make one more point, and I want to ask Montel this question. Montel, you're a very wealthy man. I hope you don't mind me saying this.
You don't know that.
And, you know, you cited the statistics coming out of Oregon. Now, one of those statistics that you didn't mention is that 34% of individuals who did decide to opt for physician-assisted suicide did so in part because they were afraid of being a financial burden on their families and on society. And, you know, we live in a society today, as you pointed out, that does not offer everybody health care. We live, in the last few years, there have been hundreds of billions of dollars of cuts to disability services that support people to live in their own homes and to live in the communities. And so my question to you is, how can the choice to die ever truly be voluntary when we do not provide people with the right to life with dignity?
Very simple. And I'll go back to what you said to begin with first. Let me answer this. If a parent, and again, I'm only supporting adults who have the ability to make a decision for themselves. Anybody who would make a decision for another person and say that they want to commit suicide should go straight to jail. Period.
That's not how it works.
And they should, but again, I'm telling you where I stand. It doesn't matter anywhere else in the world, this is where I stand. So when the choice becomes mine to make, it'll be a choice based on that alone. As an adult, I'll make that. Now, coming back to the idea of how could I choose this as my dignified death when there are no other offers of dignified death, basically is what you're saying. Especially when we live right now in a society where over the course of the next year, we're going to hear over and over again how much money needs to be slashed from the ability to keep anybody alive, because they are going to be slashing health care across the country. I'm not making a choice in saying that a person, because they're in financial hardship, should make that decision. What I'm saying to you is, I'm looking in the mirror, and the doctor has already told me I have 10 days. Or if I'm sitting here and for myself, my personal decision will be, if I am living in a way inside of a shell for me that I no longer want to do that, if I don't have to reach out to a doctor to do this, I really don't. Because I can get this done myself, and I'll make that choice.
Keith, real quick. Yeah, real quick. In practice, that's not the way it turns out. If you look at Holland, if you look at any country that's had long experience with euthanasia, there's always a creepy crawly thing that sets in where first you're talking about people with just fatal illnesses, then you're talking, well, really quality of life is a spectrum. And then what do you do with the kids? When a parent has to make a decision for a child, who's going to argue once there's legalized physician-assisted suicide that a parent can't make that decision for a drastically disabled child? But it doesn't happen. Things happen in a social context. This idea that we're all free agents, that we owe nothing to each other, that we live our lives as bubbles, it ain't true.
Montel, I'm very glad that you will argue for that child. I will too. But the reality is that those organizations who are shaping physician-assisted suicide laws have taken the opposite position, and I think that's this was the statement. This was the statement from the Toronto-based chapter of Death with Dignity, that this person should not serve jail time. I want to make one more point. I want to just ask you one thing, because I respect your point of view, Montel. I really do. But you know, this isn't just about our individual choices. It's about public policy. And the question I have to ask you is, for those people who do not have the resources that you do, who are faced with a decision of, you know, really not being supported in their own homes, who are faced with the decision of being sent to a nursing home or not having access to needed medical care, how is that choice being offered to them to die a real choice? How are we offering them a meaningful opportunity for autonomy when we're not giving them those opportunities?
The gentleman across the row answered that when he talked about his mother. We didn't offer her anything. This is a woman who's going to drag a helium container into a closet to kill herself. I'm saying to you that, again, and it doesn't matter how much money you have, because the choice is in this whole equation. It doesn't. The choice in this equation, I can walk out.
System is very much related to
unavoidably, we should note that you know, that the very well-meaning gentleman who suffered with his mother's end-of-life decisions did happen to say, my mother said, but you said to your employer, in all likelihood, she will die on Thursday. You scheduled time off. That's a kind of head of steam there. What if she'd changed her mind?